There are tens and thousands of different languages being spoken across the world. But there is one language that everybody knows, understands and speaks. And interestingly, this language doesn't involve any sort of speech, any vocals. Yes, you are right. I'm talking about body language that knows no geographical limitations, no language barriers. One can just easily understand and convey just sort of gestures. Alright, so I'll talk about this in the later part of the video. So in the last video, I talked about types of communication on the basis of dimensions, directions, and today in this video I'm going to talk about types of communication on the basis of nature and also types of communication on the basis of media. So let's get started. Alright, so on the basis of nature, communication can either be formal or informal. So let's talk about formal first. Formal communication actually can be found in an organizational hierarchical type of setup where there is a hierarchy between different employees working in an organization to represent different roles, responsibilities and authorities. And the flow of communication is like downward, upward, horizontal, diagonal and multidirectional. Okay. Like for example, we can say if there is a need to release certain orders, news bulletins and certain things like orders for promotion, suspensions, terminations, all this sort of communication is being carried out in a formal way. That is why it is called formal communication. Okay. Now let's talk about informal communication, also known as grapevine communication, because this sort of communication, I'm talking about informal one, is free from all those formalities. Okay, employees coming from the same level, same status, okay, actually more prevalent in the horizontal type of communication. Okay, they can just freely communicate and very comfortably they just communicate, okay, in informal communication. And also there is, we humans, we do have an urge or desire, a natural desire to communicate whenever we feel like we should communicate. Okay, so this was formal and informal on the basis of nature. Alright, so now let's talk about types of communication on the basis of media. So on the basis of media, communication can either be verbal or non-verbal. So let's talk about verbal first. Verbal communication can either be oral or written. So let's talk about oral first. Oral communication, one of the most effective ways of communicating. Okay, oral communication comes always first than written one. And if we analyze, we can just see we humans, we first learn to speak. Okay, then later on we learned how to write and all. Okay, so we can say like the evolution of communication for any single individual begins with oral communication. It has got its own importance, own charm, and examples are many. Plenty of examples of oral communications are there, like speeches, lectures, seminars, okay, interviews, and especially in today's this high world of high-end technology, sky is the limit. Everywhere you can find oral communication is being carried out. Like right now what I'm doing, oral is also involved. Okay. Now let's talk about the written one, written communication. Written communication is more desired, okay, and is more prevalent in communication like where there is a need for certain records to be maintained, certain documentations to be kept for further reference for official purposes. In that case, written communication has more importance than oral one. Okay, so this was communication on the basis of verbal, okay, oral and written. Now let's talk about non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is one of the most effective ways of communication. Okay, even it is more effective than the verbal one. What we say using words does matter, I'm not saying that, but what we convey with our postures, movement, rotation of eyeballs, movement of lips, facial expressions and all, it is loaded with lots of emotion. So that is more important than the verbal one. And if you have watched my last video, there I have just given one example like about a smile, like somebody is smiling. So it is not necessary that somebody is smiling only because he is happy, so he is smiling. It's not like that. There can be many reasons behind a smile. One can smile out of like being surprised, happy, angry, sad, frustrated, okay, or just out of courtesy one can smile. So there are so many meanings just a simple smile can convey. So we can just realize how important non-verbal is. Okay, there are certain subcategories of non-verbal communication like sign language, paralanguage and body language. So let's begin with sign language first. Communicating using different signs, symbols, okay, like posters, banners, hoardings, diagrams, graphs, maps, okay, like traffic signals, okay, the traffic lights, I don't think I need to explain what it conveys. So communicating using different signs, symbols, audio signs, visual signs, okay, and all, like whistles and audio visual, like right now what I am using, audio visual. So all these are the parts of your sign language. Okay, now let's talk about paralanguage. Paralanguage in itself is a language separately. For example, like right now I'm speaking, so you might have noticed, okay, like the way I'm speaking, the pauses I'm taking in between, my style and overall, okay, the way I'm speaking. So in paralanguage, we basically examine when somebody speaks his intonation, rhythm, pitch, the pauses he's taking in between. Okay, so this is paralanguage. And last but not the least, body language. I actually started this video with body language only, and I'm going to wrap up this video with body language. Okay, body language, it's so important. Like most majority of the communication okay, that we practice, okay, is body language. We do speak, okay, but body language just reinforces the words that we use. Okay, so that's why we should take utmost care, like when we are speaking we should use proper eye contact, proper postures, okay, and proper expressions and all, because body language, okay, see, there's so many things that we carry on, like the way we stand, the way we sit, the way we move, okay, all these are parts of body language only. Okay, so that's all in this video. In the last video I have already talked about types of communication on the basis of directions, dimensions, and today I already dealt with your types of communication on the basis of nature and also types of communication on the basis of media. So that's all in this video. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead, click the subscribe button, and also don't forget to follow my Facebook page. Thank you all for spending some time in watching this video.